Dude, I am so ready to finish this game. Let's go. Chapter 8 starts with us ascending those stairs, which leads us up to... Whoa, this looks neat. I always love those endgame areas in JRPGs where everything is so nonsensical and the architecture just feels so alien. This definitely fits that bill. Like, this feels like something from a completely different game. Harper drops a little more information on where we're going along the way. We're heading to a location where there are other old builders, and she warns us that they're probably not going to be as helpful as she is. But they are the current holders of this Atlas item we need so badly. Something I found very odd during the scene, for some reason these characters seem to really distrust Harper a lot.
Jesse, come here. Are you sure we can trust Harper?
Why do I get the feeling there's a lot you're not telling us?
Even several dialogue options will let you verbatim tell her that you do not trust her, and frankly, I don't know where all this animosity is coming from all of a sudden. In the short time we've known her, she's risked her life for us several times over, and even placed a lot of trust in us that I'd imagine she wouldn't give many other people. I mean, yeah, she's very mysterious as a person, and she does seem to take her time to tell us important information, but I typically chalk that up to her not wanting to overwhelm us with information than trying to actually be deceitful. Because, my god, these old builders seem to have a lot of history and even drama together. She's a pretty nuanced character, but she's never outright lied to us or even tried to hurt us, so I really don't know why the game is building you up to think she can't be trusted. Although she does push us through the door into the main conflict of Chapter 8, that came out of nowhere. Before we move on, I want you to guess where we're going to end up. You won't guess correctly, you just won't. I know I didn't. I was expecting some cool block architecture or some kind of penultimate trope you'd expect of any other type of game, but
Oh, come on now! I'm trying! Dig! Faster!
What in the world is this? We got people throwing TNT, folks dropping into lava, block breaking, an announcer?
Looks like the green team captain
Jesse,
about to
help!
deliver a welcome little campaign to our newcomer.
What the heck is going on? This looks almost like one of those tourney games people would play on Minecraft servers for like YouTube and stuff. Like Spleef or something.
Spleef!
Oh, not even a minute in, we're given a pretty big choice. Help Petra from getting dropped into lava, or help Ivor from getting blasted from TNT. Alright, come on, XCage, you can do this. Go with Ivor, go with Ivor, go with Ivor. No! We save Petra, and then Ivor and Lucas...
Ivor!
Lucas!
Oh my god! I think this right here has got to be the quickest record for chapter starting to the death of a major character in the series. Like the whole series. It just comes out of nowhere. Man, I can't believe Ivor and Louie died. This gets Jesse pretty heated and doing some serious damage to the other participants in whatever is going on here. And this gets the match called off. Everyone seems weirdly casual about this whole situation.
Yeah, I didn't think we could throw TNT back at the gladiators. Nice one, brah.
You killed one of my best friends. Hey, I don't care about your compliments, and I'm definitely not your bra.
Our attention is brought to the three people running this game. They come down and... Okay, I know this is probably meant to look cool, but it just looks kind of silly.
People are dying out here, and you're still talking about games?
Oh, wow. You don't know, do you? Your friends aren't dead.
They're not?
Obviously. They come back, and then we have them go work in the mines.
Jesse!
Wait, what? Wait, why is Ivor in his underwear?
It's called respawning, champ. We're not monsters.
What? Wait, so when people die in this competition, they don't actually die, they respawn. Okay, I actually have a bit of an issue with this. They're changing established rules here. Previously, whenever someone would die, that would be it. They're dead for good. This has been a constant throughout the entire game, yet now, at the final stretch of it all, that's suddenly not how it works anymore. I mean, this is how dying works more realistically in Minecraft, and flipping established rules on their head can be a really effective way to keep the story fresh. But doing it this late with something that's been a major stake and consequence in every chapter up to this point, it feels cheap somehow, even if there is a story reason for it. Heck, in this context, what they could have done is maybe they could have had them fall into, like, water instead and get sucked into the respawn zone, you know, kind of like what happened in Chapter 3, instead of changing something so established like this. I gotta say, this is not the strongest first impression. If anything, I felt like killing off 2 major characters would have been a phenomenal way to let players know that the dangers of this world aren't playing around anymore. But no, they're just there. Though apparently they're going off to some mines, though. Harper rejoins with us, and we get straight to the point with these 3. We need the Atlas. They don't want to give us the Atlas. Jesse starts to barter with them, and you can actually offer any of the major treasures you've gotten up to this point with them. XCage doesn't show this off, but they all have unique dialogue, which is cool. Although they don't seem to be interested. As for the 3 themselves, we have Otto, voiced by Jamie Alcroft. Okay, I was looking through his IMDb. I actually screamed when I noticed he did like a dozen of the dragon voices from the original Spyro.
He's a thief, and he's stolen a dragon egg. You've got to track him down and get that egg. Run! Run!
Oh my god, that is actually one of my favorite games of all time. What has this guy been doing since then? That is so cool to see. We have Melva, voiced by Carrie Walgren, who seems to do a lot of voices in cartoons, with a bit of a lean in adult animation stuff like Rick and Morty and Velma. And finally we have Hadrian, voiced by Jim Cummings. Okay, I guess they did have the budget from one more huge name actor in there somewhere. I cannot begin to describe the sheer amount of roles this man has done. He's probably one of the most prolific American voice actors of all time. I'm not even kidding. And he gives us a deal. If we can win this championship, he'll give us the Atlas. Otherwise, we have to work in the mines forever. So, this is a tournament arc we have on our hands here. And unfortunately, I'm not a super big fan of those. I don't know, I guess I compare it to why I explained why I'm not a fan of mercenary characters at the start of the essay. I find it to be too easy a type of story to lean on when you want your characters to do something morally gray, in this instance, fight each other, without having to build any actual story stakes for why they would want to do so. Then they often dive into being sports comeback stories, which I'm also not a huge fan of. Like, they just always sound very samey to me. Like, they always use the same type of language. Oh, just wait until I win. We gotta train. Hey, wanna do some training? Nuh-uh, not if I win first. I'm gonna be the strongest. I don't know. Gotta say, this chapter is kind of fighting an uphill battle based on this theming alone, but I'm willing to give it a chance. Heck, it's already looking up a little, as one twist I do tend to enjoy with this trope is when the heroes or villains try to get ahead in some kind of clever way. Either by, like, cheating or, like, just using the rules to their advantage in really technical, malicious, compliancy kind of ways. It seems like we might be doing that here, as one of the 3 guys has a character gimmick that he's a big follower of the rules, and that Hadrian might have already broken one himself. We're taking to the competitor village, and task ourselves with finding some kind of way to get Ivor and Lucas out of these mines we keep hearing about. Also, it should be obvious, but it's possible for Ivor to be the one here with you instead. In fact, that's what happened in my playthrough because, you know, I like Ivor. Here we're introduced to a few minor characters. We got Nell, voiced by Julian Boucher, I think. M, short for Emily, voiced by Audrey Walowiecki. Oh my god, she's doing bicep curls with the iron bar sprite. That's so funny. We have Slab, voiced by Christopher B. Duncan. Clutch, who... oh wow, she's also voiced by Julian Boucher. Also, I can't be the only one who thinks she looks like a Splatoon character between the bright hair and black marks around her eyes. And Face Meat, voiced by John Sanders. Yes, that's really his name. They also go off a lot about this ancient warrior of immeasurable strength and cunning. This warrior's name was Tim. Just Tim. We get our friends back, we meet Otto properly. Harper's been talking with him, and he seems pretty up to be on our side regarding this whole ordeal, as long as we follow the rules. The next morning, we're starting the next round of games. Depending on your choice, either Petra or Ivor will accompany you during them. Hadrian stops by to try and psych us out a bit. M comes by too and asks if we can work together. Apparently at some point in the middle of the race, we'll come across some gladiators, which are those big armored guys we saw in the last area. They kind of exist just to make the race harder for everyone, but she claims that as a former gladiator herself, she might be able to help us through them. XCage agrees. The first part of this event is a race. Fun fact, but if you die here, you get sent back to the cutscene before Hadrian comes to talk to you, so that's pretty annoying. At one point when I was doing this section with Ivor, I got this line, I love a good lava-based build as much as the next guy, but this is just a little treacherous, even for my taste. And then if you say nothing, he says, I sure hope that silence is determination rather than paralyzing fear. We make it to the next part where all of the gladiators are. M betrays us, Petra dies, gets eliminated. We escape and get up to the next section, a climbing wall. M betrays Nell as well, we save her, and then we swim up a waterfall. You can actually do that in Minecraft, but it's very funny to see here. Saving her made us lose the race though. It's revealed that the reason M betrayed us is because she made a deal with Hadrian, that if she eliminated him, she'd be free of the games. I mean, that motive makes a lot of sense, but we're still pissed off of her. And then the gladiator with horns comes along to tell us that Hadrian wants us. And then while we're going with him, some other guy gives us some lapis. God, this is another thing I don't really like about tournament arcs. Like, they tend to be very and-then stories, if you know what I mean. Also, I gotta apologize if I forget any of these characters' names or get any names wrong here. This chapter introduces a lot of minor characters, some of which have really stupid names, and also moves pretty quickly in its own regard, so it's not like you get a lot of time to really learn them all. You know, it's kind of obvious at this point that this is probably my least favorite chapter in the Portal arc, isn't it? We're taken to Hadrian's palace, and it looks kind of cool. I don't know why, but I was reminded of the architecture we saw a lot in the end in Soren's house, but way more sinister. Surprisingly sinister too, despite the bright color palette of all the blocks it's made out of. We're told not to touch anything, so of course we immediately tap on some glass. We find Tim's armor, get jump scared by Hadrian, and he starts talking with us more about his deal. It's revealed that Tim isn't real. Okay. I don't know, that kind of came out of nowhere, and I never felt like we knew enough about Tim for that to really be an impactful twist. He then talks about why he actually has us here. His atlas allows him to see where people are from and access other worlds, and he went to ours and got some leverage.
Axel! Olivia!
He also heard about our friend Reuben, how he's Jesse's best friend and how he means the world to him. So he found Reuben and brought him here.
Sup?
Yep, there he is. You know, famed b-ball star Reuben. Yeah, he didn't get the detail that Reuben was a pet pig, so he just got some guy named Reuben assuming he knows us. This has gotta be one of the actual best jokes in the game. Like, I'm not even kidding. I love the payoff to this, and Hadrian's reaction is hilarious as well. Also, if you remember really, really far back, we actually have seen this guy before. He was the usher at EnderCon we had to do that slime block puzzle to get past. He says that he'll keep our friends as prisoners if we win, but let us go if we lose, which Jesse responds by going, screw you, I don't trust you and your rules and your deal. Axel really liked that for some reason. And then we just leave and go back to town. I don't get what the point of that scene was. Okay, so we get back to town. Oh god, Ivor's still in his boxers. We tell them what happened. We tell them about the deal Hadrian proposed, how we didn't take the deal, how they think the deal is unfair, how we should stick to the original deal, how Otto would make sure Hadrian would stick to the original deal. Em approaches us and tells us we make good to not take the deal, talk about the new deal we have in mind, everyone approaching to hear about this new deal. God, what is the deal with this chapter? We give everyone a pep talk. If we can all work together and beat the gladiators, we can beat Hadrian at his own game. Somehow. Hopefully everybody will remember that. M doubts us, we don't care, and then we get to the next day.
Gentlemen, it is
Really abruptly. This is the final game. So how this one works is we're given an area filled with materials to build some kind of structure that will help us defend ourselves. And these big walls will be lowered after a while, and then we have to fight each other to the death, and then get on top of this big platform in the middle, and that's how you win. Although our area is rigged because it just has dirt and gravel. The walls come down, Em approaches us, the game plays up that she's gonna kill you, but then she gives us her sword. Guess we're teaming up after all.
Yeah, man, I can totally see why you'd be confused.
Yeah, we're, confused. I mean, usually the little teams all kill each other, you know?
We're not killing each other because we're done fighting, Slab. It's over.
Uh-huh. So why do you still have your weapons out?
Done fighting each other.
You know, when I played this, I said nothing during that prompt and got probably one of my favorite lines in the game. It almost feels like Jessie is acting as a mirror, a vessel in which to see the emptiness of her own actions and the meaninglessness of... They go away, we climb up the big victory tower, Hadrian gets pissed off, and since we technically won the games, Otto is about to give us the Atlas before...
Hey, Otto!
Oh, here we go. Time for the final action sequence of the game. The final boss, if you will. Hadrian and Melva. You know, these two actually have a really creative fighting style. They place blocks all the time as they fight, creating obstacles, giving themselves height advantages. If you look at the footage of hardcore player versus player Minecraft competitions, they actually fight like this too. So this fighting style is actually a reference to the fan community. It's a really creative way to interpret this style of battle. Now, I don't know if this is a reference to anything, but they also have a habit of changing their equipment, which isn't unheard of in this game, but whenever they do so, it changes with this sparkle effect and like a sound effect, like they're freaking keyblades or something.
This game?
In fact, we actually start doing that too. I like it, actually. I just don't know if it's a reference to anything, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. This sequence is actually my favorite part of the chapter. Yeah, an action sequence being my favorite part. That might sound bad, but trust me, it's actually pretty well put together. There's even a fake-out part where you die and forget that you can respawn. So, like, we respawn, we're not quite dead, but, like, they have all of the cool stuff we had in inventory, so we think everything is over, but then M shows up with everyone ready to help out.
Sweet. Payback time.
Oh my god, that fucking run. We don Tim's armor and get back in there. Wait, I thought the whole story with Tim was fake, so is the armor a phony too? Ah, whatever. We end up beating them, and this sequence is really satisfying too. And when they respawn, they're confronted by the rest of the gladiators.
Yeah. Face Meat wants to discuss his benefits plan.
I also know that the Atlas is not mine to keep.
Oh my god! We get back to the portal room. Tons of competitors are going back home, but tons of other competitors are actually staying with Otto to try and make the games fun now that Hadrian isn't in control of them anymore. And that's kind of cool.
You're amazing.
Ivor then reveals that he has a thing for Harper. I didn't mention this, but that was actually foreshadowed a bit in Chapter 7, but it still feels very sudden. Thinking about it, is this the first time romance is referenced at all in this game? I don't know how to word this in a way that doesn't sound cringy, but something about this universe feels very Abro-coded to me, if that makes sense. Everyone's just a platonic friend. Well, except these two, obviously, like roommates and business partners, my ass. Have you seen these two interact? We're finally given the Atlas, opening it summons words that point us back to our home. Our world's portal is apparently adorned with wood. How boring. It warps us back to the museum. We reminisce about our adventures, pull out all the cool stuff we found, and put it on display. You know, I think it's kind of cool that every chapter of this arc happens to have some sort of treasure we got in to keep before going home. Them all having different shapes and functions gives them a sense of variety in a way that makes them really feel memorable. We have the Eversource Crown, a source of infinite materials by technicality, Palma's Heart with its unlimited redstone power, the Atlas, a beacon that lets us travel to different worlds more easily, and the White Pumpkin, which is a pumpkin that's white. Am I the only one who thinks that one stands out for just how normal it is compared to all the other treasures? Oh, actually, thinking about it, Chapter 5 has 2 treasures because the magic flint and steel is very magical as well. I don't know, maybe it's more accurate to say that each world has its own treasure as opposed to each chapter. And then we have one final gag.
Wasn't that where the portal Atlas was a minute ago?
Yeah, that was definitely where you put it.
Guys, flint and steel are missing too.
And where's Ivor?
It ends with Ivor being Ivor. I absolutely love that. And then there's one last post-credit scene where, depending on if during the very first dialogue section of the game, you say that you would rather fight chicken-sized zombies or zombie-sized chickens, Hadrian and Melva are banished to a dimension with either chicken-sized zombies or zombie-sized chickens. That feels weird, but I kind of like it. It feels fitting. They deserve this. God, this final chapter didn't quite do it for me at a lot of points, but I wouldn't say I disliked it. And I liked the ending a lot, too. And yeah, that's Minecraft Story Mode. God, where do I begin? This game is unlike anything I've ever played. It's so hard to put into words my ultimate feelings about it. Is it cringy? Yeah, but at the end of the day, I'd be lying if I said I didn't get a ton of enjoyment out of it. After doing enough of these video essays, I feel like I've finally learned something about myself. I think I have a thing for bad writing. Not like so bad it's good kind of bad writing, but writing that tends to be extremely ambitious or go into super deep topics despite not really understanding what makes them work. And I find what often happens in that case is you get an interesting story to try and follow, yeah, but you also get that meta discussion of how it fails. It becomes more prone to theory crafting or people interpreting the work in different ways. And honestly, that is infinitely more fun to me than any traditionally good story could ever be. I mean, hell, just look at some of the stuff I'm into. I feel like I tend to have good judgment on if a developer really tried with their story, in spite of how many flaws it may have. It adds this personal human element I never seem to get out of much mainstream stuff these days. And sometimes they really pull stuff off really well too. Sometimes along the way in like a game that's extremely rough around the edges, you will come across some masterpiece in the rough. It's cool to see and even a bit inspiring, especially as someone who's trying to make a pretty ambitious story myself right now. But yeah, I guess that's kind of my thoughts on the game. A really ambitious story that isn't super well written, but has so much effort and soul put into it that I can't help but love it and even consider it good. I like Minecraft Story Mode. Is that cringe? I don't know, but I did have a good time with it. Now, if only there was an easier way to get your hands on it these days. God, that still bums me out, and especially weird considering how big Minecraft is as a whole. Like, in a world where we have everything from dungeons to legends to Earth, which, actually, that one did shut down, but I think that one was a bit more understandable. God, I kind of missed Earth. That game was actually really fun. The fact that this one specific game, though, feels off limits feels weird. Like, you think a company that big would have tried to acquire the rights so they could at least distribute it on their own storefront after Telltale went under or something. And also since Mojang, especially by AAA standards, seems to care a lot more about preservation than a lot of major companies, it kind of turns story mode into this elusive beast that you kind of had to be there to experience, or have just gotten lucky like myself here. I gotta say though, I am glad I was able to make this video. I know so many friends who have heard of this game but never played it, finally getting to see what it's all about for the first time, and their reactions have been really entertaining. I didn't realize that this game had a bit of a niche fandom as well, and it was cool meeting a lot of you. Some of y'all joined my Discord, some of y'all gave me cool things to talk about in future episodes while correcting mistakes I made in previous ones. People have made memes based off the series, people have sent me all sorts of cool fan art, fan projects, or other video essays as well, both that they made themselves or found online. Like, it seriously kind of reminds me of the aftermath to making my Y2K video, and truthfully, that's one thing I do love about doing video essays on niche stuff like this that was overlooked for being kinda cringe. Because the actual fan communities behind these works can actually be quite nice and wholesome. But yeah, that's my video essay on Minecraft Story Mode. Thank you, everyone. Thanks to everyone who watched this all the way through, everyone who's been sharing these parts, XCage for letting me use their footage. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, Royalblot, Sean, and Great Wolf. Feel free to give the video a like and share, it really helps engagement. As for what I'm going to do at this point, well, I'm actually going away with my family for a week. In fact, I'll probably be out of here by the time this video actually goes up. When I get back, I'm gonna see if I can compile all these parts into a single, like, magnum opus video that, like, fixes some errors and adds a couple jokes I thought of after I uploaded stuff. And then after that, I'm gonna move on to whatever kind of video essay interests me next. So, yeah, I hope you folks look forward to that. So, I'll see you folks then. Thanks for watching.